What is up, people? This is Cecil W Adams coming at you with another round. Today, I have the only person in my many contacts on my phone that is legit fucking rockstar. This guy traveled all over the US during his college years with the Warp Tour. Uh, I had a lot of preconceived ideas about what it's like to travel on the Warp Tour, and Andy set me straight on a lot of these. Today, I'd like to welcome on another round the great and awesome and amazing and talented Mr. Andy motherfucking Marshall. Thank you for listening to the podcast. I hope you guys enjoy. Peace.
We're gonna knock this out. Second take.
Yeah. Boom. All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another round with Cecil W Adams. The second take. Today, I have on a very special guest, the biggest rock star I know, coming to you from the trap, Andy motherfucking Marshall.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it, sir. You are literally the only rock star that I have in my phone.
You need to meet some more people.
Nah, man. Like, I know the concept of this podcast is about people in the bar industry or whatever, but you've been to enough bars and you've been my friend for a long time.
I've been to a lot of bars.
You've been to a lot of bars across.
We could just talk about bars I've been to, and this might be like an 18-hour bar podcast.
Right. There's
and
one
then in 2004, the next one I went to was passed out, blacked out there. I don't remember the rest of it, but
I remember having a drink.
It started good. I don't remember the tab, but yeah, I've been to a couple bars, so it's perfect. Right. I'm a perfect match for you.
Exactly. I think you are as well. So, you started in music. How old were you when you got started in music?
It's kind of interesting. I don't know how interesting it actually is.
Oh, no, it's interesting.
I mean, I went to, my family was not really musical. My mom sings, but wasn't very musical. And then when I was in middle school, I had a music teacher. It was a combination of music teacher and other guys I went to middle school with. And I just found out that you could play guitar. And if you learned power chords, you could play like Green Day songs, like legit.
Right.
And I was like, this has got to be me. And it was right then. It was, I was trying to skateboard. Luckily, I was slightly better at guitar playing than I was at skateboarding because it would have been one or the other. But
right. I learned how to skateboard. I was never any good, but I never wore a helmet. Did you wear a helmet?
No.
I didn't wear knee pads, helmet, or anything. And I was just like, the whole time I
never saw someone wear a helmet with a skateboard until like the X Games.
Right.
I was like, what is Tony Hawk wearing on his head? Is that necessary?
I can tell you this, I've never ridden a bicycle in my life with a helmet on.
I have only because of like a mandatory thing. Like if you take like a bike ride on a cruise or on vacation, they're like, you have to wear a helmet. Yeah. But like, I think about that all the time. Like think about now, like new kid, if you have a kid, if they get a bike, you're like, you need knee pads and wrist guards.
Oh, my kiddo?
Helmet.
Yeah. I'm like, knee pads.
And I was like, we were pulling people on skateboards off plywood ramps, and we never thought about a single piece of protective gear ever.
And now, like, just seeing, like, man, it's so funny how, like, what do they call it? Free range parenting? Is that a thing? Like, it's basically like
you're a parent. I don't know.
Well, no, I'm talking about like back in the day when we were kids. I think they called it free range parenting.
Yeah.
It's where like, kids without helmets, or just shit that we done as growing up. That now, like me being a parent, I'm just like, oh, wait, hold on, you cannot walk there by yourself. I need to walk with you, or you riding on your bicycle and you got training wheels on, but you still need a helmet and the elbow pads and the gloves and blah 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 blah. It's like I want to.
My parents were joking at Christmas because my cousin has a kid, and then just for Christmas, my aunt and uncle had to like baby proof their house. They had to get all the stuff, and like they have the electrical plugs that like block so you can't stick something in there. I specifically, I don't know if I remember, but I know that I put a key in an electrical thing when I was. You only do it one time, and I didn't die. But it's like, but it's like you look at it, it's like, all right, I understand why you would put that there, but also maybe just learn, like.
Dude, I remember in hold on, let me think. Fourth grade, I was in school next to an electrical plug, and my friend Stonewall Crippen. His name is Stonewall Crippen.
That's sick.
Stonewall Jackson Crippen. Actually, he has he's a musician as well. Like
his parents are Republican, right?
No. I have no idea. His dad, Jack Crippen, played music his whole life. Like this dude's music. He does he has a Stonewall Jackson band. They played down
oh, no kidding.
They play the Ozarks. That's like
okay.
He's big.
Stonewall is their last name, so they just
No, Stonewall's his first name.
Okay.
Crippen is his last name. But Stonewall Jackson was his Jackson was his middle name. But Stoney is what he called him. He's like, hey man, if you put metal in the plug, if you put them in both, you'll feel the breaker. And I was like, nuh-uh. Sure shit. I took a paper clip and like put them in both, and I was like, oh, it like shocked me a little bit. And then I sit in class like, and
your shoulders smoking. I have a direct line to my.
Oh, it was fourth grade because it was Mr. Clark was teaching, and he was like writing on a chalkboard, and it boom, and I was like, oh god, I'm gonna get in so much trouble, blah 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 blah. I'm gonna get in so much trouble, and he's like, oh, must throw a breaker. I'm just sitting there like the whole time, like the rest of the day, I'm just quiet. Sitting in class because I thought I was going to get in so much trouble for throwing a breaker.
Oh, dude, you want to fast forward? I got to tell you this story because I'll forget it. And it's super funny.
Do it.
So if you fast forward through all the band stuff or whatever you were going to ask me about.
Mm-hmm.
So we had these rehearsal spaces, right? We were like, band just practicing in a basement somewhere. And we get these old like business buildings that nobody would rent. And so we would get these rooms. So my buddy Casey, he had his guitar, and then on your guitar, when you change the strings on the guitar, if you have the correct tools and stuff, you usually cut the excess string off, right? Yeah. Or like Kurt Cobain was famous for not doing that, for just leaving it.
Yeah.
So like a tassel of strings,
wires. So the wires stretch, and you got to tighten them up, right?
But when you actually put them on, there's always excess. So usually you cut those off. If you're doing it neatly and you want it to look nice, you cut it off. Or like Kurt Cobain would just leave them. So he had changed the guitar strings, and he hadn't used wire cutters to cut that off.
He probably didn't know how to use wire cutters.
He did. I don't know. Whatever. Maybe he just thought it was being cool, whatever. Or maybe it's just band practice. I changed my strings. I got to play right now.
Right.
So he's rocking out, and our band had finished playing. I was watching our other friend's band play. And then, like, power amps have this big, like, toroidal power supply. It's a massive magnet, and it takes the wall amperage and juices it up to get 1,000 watts out or whatever, right?
Right.
So he's playing some shit on guitar, and then he was, like, rocking out a little bit. And he moves, and there's an 810, so a big bass rig with the bass amp on top, and then the amp has it's a power amp, but it's got a little grill because there's fans that blow the heat off of it. He goes like this. All of a sudden, he just goes, yeah, and just sticks. And we thought he was fucking with us. We all thought he was like messing around. We were like, how funny. And he's just sitting there. He was not moving, and he's just like, gah. And we're like, oh, funny. And then all of a sudden, his fingers started smoking. And we were like, what? The strings from the guitar that he didn't cut went through the grill of the amp and touched that toroidal power supply. So it turned his guitar into a barbecue grill. And he was stuck on like 220 watts. or 220 volts, where he's just like... And it took like 30 seconds. I thought he was messing around. Finally, someone goes, something wrong with Casey. He was like, oh my God, he's getting electrocuted. So then someone's like, don't touch him. And it's like, kick him with your foot or something.
Yeah, because rubber on your soles.
Hit him as hard as he could. And he comes over and he's like, oh! Oh! And like his hands, his fingers, where he was touching the guitar strings heated up to like a barbecue grill. He had burns through all of his fingers.
Jesus.
He had a burn on the back of his elbow, and the guitar strings turned black like you had barbecued a steak on it or whatever. And we were all like, "You're so lucky to be alive, but that shit is funny, and I'm going to tell it on a podcast someday."
Did he keep playing after that?
Oh yeah, like he kind of. I mean, you weren't gonna all your front five of your buddies are here. We're gonna have band practice. They took like a 15-minute smoke break and got back.
Did he have to restring the guitar?
I don't know. He might not have had. I don't remember. Maybe he played another guitar. I mean, that one was probably toast, literally.
Right. That's crazy, man. So, what was I know we talked about this in the first take, but name of your band again that you got put on with?
The band I was most successful was called Playing with Matches.
Playing with Matches. Now, you were saying earlier that you started just kind of just a spoof, just like fucking around.
Yeah, we were in. I went to college. When I moved into my college dorm room, like random dorm room assignments, the two guys next to me both played guitar. It's funny, I had played guitar in high school, and I didn't even take a guitar to college. I thought I was for sure going to be a frat boy. I grew up in West County, St. Louis. I was like, joining a fraternity, going to business school.
All right.
4 years, and I'm out, and I moved in, and there are two punk rock
get your
guys.
bachelor's degree in business administration or
yeah,
whatever.
Right?
Yeah.
Go work for my dad's delership or something.
Yeah.
My dad didn't own a dealership, but I could have done something like that. But
working in the family business.
Yeah, so they moved in, and they were just into punk rock music, and I actually hadn't been into punk that much. I was like always into I was into jam stuff. I like Dave Matthews Band. I like this other stuff, but all the dudes and girls loved these guys because they were playing songs and singing harmonies, and everyone was like, I can play guitar.
Right.
I'm like, actually, I can play bass, and you guys need a bass player. So first trip home, I went and got my bass, and we started a band, and we just started goofing around, and it was seriously making joke songs about our RA or other people in the dorm, and just like stupid stuff.
Jokes about or songs about farts.
Yeah, fart songs. If anything,
fart songs pick up chicks. I love it.
And so we did that, and then people were like, "You guys should play a gig somewhere." And we were like, "I don't know." So we booked a coffee house gig, thinking maybe we get some people, and like over 100 people showed up to it, which blew out the whole coffee house. They're like, "You guys are legit." So then it was like, then we'll keep doing that, but as a joke, and it was like covers and doing this. So after about a year and a half, we were like, if we took this seriously, we might be a real band.
I love that.
It's like we really were the first band ever to have fans before we were talented.
Right.
People were like, "We like you. Just do something. Entertain us, please.
Entertain us. Dance. Do something."
I know, right? So it kind of worked backwards for us, but it was awesome. It was I did it. There was a lot of things that came from being in a band, whether it was messing my credit up or doing, dropping out of school for a while, doing stuff. It's like a lot of people would be like, I regret that. I don't regret any of it. In fact, like that's the greatest thing that I ever did. And I have amazing friends because of it and amazing stories. And it honestly dictated where my life went since then. So
for sure. And then you were saying something earlier about the way you got your band out there.
Yeah. So.
Because you were right before like the MySpace and all that stuff started kicking off, right? Or right?
Yeah, we were right before MySpace. We were in the heyday, because I think a lot of people would tell you that like there was a hot time for independent music, and it was the early 2000s, because the internet was there and people didn't know how to use it. So it was like there's a tool there and there's a way to exploit it. So I don't know if do you remember the website Pure Volume?
No.
There's a website called Pure Volume, and punk bands would get on there, and people would just get out there and do stuff there. And then, like, if you had big hits on Pure Volume, you were like a real band.
Yeah.
And that happened to us. Same thing. We were like one of the first bands with a MySpace page. We were definitely one of the first ones that you could hack MySpace to make your MySpace page look like a real website, instead of just looking like a MySpace page.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I didn't know that.
So, in fact, if you go to my band's old MySpace page, it looks super fucked up now, because they've changed MySpace like 18 times, and it's because it still has all the programming.
I'm surprised it's still there.
It still has all the old programming from what used to be like
That's
a picture
awesome.
and a jukebox and all this shit on
Right.
it. But so we just happened to be in the right place. But one thing that was really cool is our band was always really big about marketing and business, and that probably came from me. You know, my dad was a business person. I was like, if we're gonna do this, let's do it right and do that. And a lot of other bands would look at us and say, hey, these guys sold out, or these guys did this thing, but we brought a crowd when we played, and that's what made us successful. Hopefully I think we were talented. I think people liked our music, people like that, but we marketed ourselves to where when we played, there was going to be a show, there was going to be a party.
Right. And for me as a business owner, as a bar owner, basically as a bar owner, like at my last place I worked at, they had bands, always had bands, 365, and they would never look at, for me, if I'm bringing in a band, they can say, oh, we're going to bring this amount of people, and they never, it's like, what? No.
That's a great example, though, because isn't that one of those, like, now in that situation, that bar has promised to have live music 365 days a year, so they have to do whatever to make it happen. Right. But other venues are like, if you own a music venue and you see music venues fold all the time here in St. Louis, Foo Bar just folded, and it's like, and that was a punk rock and metal destination.
That's how it got started, yeah.
But it's like, they're only good if people show up to see the shows.
Yeah.
And so you can't just walk in and say, you can't be entitled. It should be, because music is an art form, right? That's like, it's a little different. If you painted, you couldn't be like, I'll paint, and I guarantee you that when I have an exhibition, so many people will show up. But that's ultimately what people want. And in a band, you can do that. You can be like, I know that X amount of people will show up. We can be counted for this. And that's what really matters to people. That's what ultimately got a sign. That's what draws attention to you. Very rarely do people just find a band out of the dirt and go, these people are unbelievably talented musicians. Usually it's like, this band is drawing a huge crowd, so people must like them.
Yeah, as a bar owner, that's all I care about. Yeah. Like, and like with the people that they were dealing with, it's like, oh, if I asked the question like, oh, what, or I look them up on Instagram or YouTube or anything like that, there was a lot of them that didn't even have a fucking Instagram page.
Sure.
And it's like, what?
Well, there's a lot of bands that kind of feel like, hey, our job is to write a song, and then we don't care. And, it's in the punk rock or music artistic thing is to go, this is what it is. You like it or you don't like it, which is fine.
Right.
There's an avenue for that. Right. But once you start to be asking to be paid for it, then it's like, what do you actually bring to it?
Yeah, if I'm bringing you in, I'm expecting people to show up for you.
If I was going to sell you liquor to your bar, and I'm like, I have this alcohol, and you're like, what is it like? Do people want it? And I'm like, it tastes like shit, and nobody's going to ask you for it because nobody's ever heard of it. You're like, you know what? I'm probably not going to stock that at my bar.
Exactly. but I think the way...
Unless it's, Malort. People are really into Malort, and it does taste like shit.
God damn it.
Do you know about all this? I told you about this.
Malort, yeah. But it's almost like, what's the other shit that all the industry people... It used to be grandma back when I first started in the industry. But then
in my generation in music, it was Jaeger. Although I don't know, there is somewhat of a if you drink Jaeger all the time, it starts tasting good. It gets better.
That was
my generation. We were on 2 Jaeger tours. It was like, if you're on the tour, you get unlimited Jaeger, and every bar was like, bands drink free PBR and Jaeger. And I was like, cool, that's all I wanted.
Well, Jaeger was the big. What made Jaeger really big was. That was when everybody was coming out in the 90s, coming out as gay men. The Jaeger was that
was a gay thing. I didn't know it was a gay thing.
Yeah, I didn't know that either until I talked to John, the guy that owns Just John's, and he's like, yeah, that's why he still takes Jaeger. He's like, it's when I came out, he's like, we did shots of Jaeger all the time, and it was like the big coming out shot.
I thought it's because it's like the hardest thing you could drink without. It's like that or like 151 or something. Like that. How gross could it be before you do? But I used to get used. I loved it. I would drink like a fucking half-fifth of Jaeger and then go play.
That's crazy.
Now I can't do it anymore. Like, no shit. like a month ago, somewhere I'm at the bar, I'm hanging out with somebody. Guy goes, "Hey, you want to do a shot?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "What?" And I was like, "I don't care. I drink everything." He goes, "You drink everything?" I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "I'm getting Jaeger shots." I was like, "Fine, whatever. I drink more Jaeger than you dream of." He gives it to me. I took it, and I was like, "Oh God." Oh shit! What happened? I used to taste it.
Who am I? What?
You have like 10 seconds where you're like, just inhale through your nose and don't throw up.
Deep breaths, push it down. What do you think that your band, if you guys were now with the way you marketed yourself back then, do you think now you guys would be all over the social media stuff, doing the?
I don't know. We tried to do the social media thing. That's something I got to give you credit for. Like, you're so good at social media. That's something we dwindled at. And as social media grew, you know what I did? This is funny. You'll love this as a business person.
Mm-hmm.
I hated doing that shit. I was good at talking to people. I was good at begging people to come to shows. I did not want to do Twitter posts and everything else. When our band was signed and we were bigger, I used to hire college interns to work for us, and I'd be like, your job is to do daily Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram posts for our band.
Wow.
And they're like, really? That's no big deal. And I'm like, perfect, because I don't want to do it.
Right. And
I don't know. I'm not really sure.
I bet you guys would have, because I mean, and I appreciate the compliment, by the way. Thank you so much. And it's funny because like when you do something like I do, I always think I'm not doing enough, but it's like when that's just a not even perfectionist, but like just me, like I always think I could do more or whatever. And like all the videos should have been shooting lately for the reopening of Bob's, like I know it's going to work, but it's just like,
dude, even your Snapchat, like I can go on Snapchat any day and find out what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like, you're my buddy, but it's like, if I was sitting at home and I was like, God, I really want to just get a drink and hang out, I get on Snapchat, look at your story, be like, oh, that's Cecil's at Bob's. I'll go up there.
Yeah. So that's what I tell people that are in the industry when they're talking to me about building the crowd, whatever. Snapchat is the best thing for bartenders right now. It's I call it hand-to-hand combat.
Sure.
Because I can send if I'm sending out, let's say I take a snap, oh, I'm working tonight, whatever, something goofy, whatever, hey, I'm working, and I send it, I put it on my story, and I'll put it on our story, which is basically for the area, and then send it to, we'll say 100 people. I'm getting a 20% return.
Yeah. And a couple of those people, I did it last weekend. Right. They'll tell their friends. Like, I had friends last weekend that were like, hey, it's Friday night, where should we go? And I'm like, Cecil and our other buddy are at this bar, we should go up there. And they're like, all right, let's all go.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it worked.
Yeah.
I mean, and that was straight off of Snapchat. You didn't have to text me. You didn't have to do anything else.
And, and it's like, to me, Snapchat is the best for that. Right now, it's the best, because if you get a Snapchat sent to you, you're going to open it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's some people that don't open their snaps, and it's like
I flash them sometimes. Yeah, where I just go. But even that works, because I go, oh, Cecil's at this bar, whatever.
Right.
And if I'm not going out tonight, doesn't matter.
Right. Exactly.
But at least I saw it.
A 20% return on something like that. 20 people coming on a Saturday night. Or whatever
on a Facebook post, you only get 15% return of the people that you put on it or whatever. So.
Maybe, but but Snapchat that's where I'm getting the best return. Instagram really don't get anything out of. I keep growing, on it, but it's not like I'm not putting as much effort into it as I should. But the.
I think that would help your full bar.
Yeah.
Full bar, but just your one-to-one interaction is probably Snapchat.
Yeah.
Best place.
And then even on Instagram, I don't give a fuck about national, people across the world following my stuff. I care about, just as a business, I care about the people that are in South St. Louis.
Yeah.
That's all I care about. The people locally, that's legitimately all I care about. And that's where a lot of people currently are feeling like brick and mortar businesses. don't give a fuck about that. All they care about is the local people that can come to the store.
Marketing's such an interesting thing because it really is figuring out what gets to your direct crowd, right? Like,
100%.
and in your specific situation. And you have a unique situation having a bar in South City, St. Louis, that there's a different way to get there than there is if you were running the biggest bar in St. Louis than there would if you were running a chain of bars all over the country, right?
100%.
And no different than the band thing. Like I was mentioning earlier on our first take or whatever, my band we were a college band, so we would go door to door in the dorms and knock on people's doors and just be like, we're in a band, here's our CD, and we're playing this night. And another big thing at that time was that there were only a couple all ages venues. So if you were between 18 and 21, you couldn't go to the bars, but you could go to a club and see a band. So it's like, we'll give you our CD. We would put sidewalk chalk all over the campus so people were walking to class and there'd be sidewalk things that say playing with matches this Friday or whatever. But then when we go to play, there'd be an actual crowd there.
Right.
And then people were like into it. And that was direct. Now, that's probably not the best way to market this podcast is with sidewalk chalk and sewer or whatever. I mean, but it worked for the campus because we knew people were going to walk over it, see it, and look for something to do on Friday night.
Right. And it was a different time.
I don't know how to get into the cool party, but I do know I can go to this venue and see a punk rock band, and I saw those guys.
But it was the thing to do at the time. Yeah. There was nothing there was nothing better to do. You're in Springfield, Missouri. Or even, just doing shit like that, getting eyes on what you want them to see. Where's the attention at? So, like, for me, I've been looking at this LinkedIn thing, and it's like, I'm starting to get to LinkedIn, and then, TikTok, that type of stuff. But
I'm not. That's too much. I'm too old now. I think TikTok is. I think that's the level where I'm like, you know what? I'm too old for that shit.
I mean, for me,
you got to do it. You're gonna do it. If you're a podcaster, you got to TikTok some stuff.
Yeah, but I enjoy it. It's cool. It's getting close to becoming mainstream. The problem with Snapchat though is like I don't know when they're gonna shut it down because it's they overvalued it. Yeah, it's great for individual, for personal use. Snapchat.
I mean, it was all about personal porn to start with. I mean, come on, exactly. I just want to see nudie pictures from my girlfriend.
Yes,
come on.
Exactly. That disappear. That I have no shame the next day. That. But then also but it's hard to monetize. It is hard to monetize because I fast forward to I just skip over the commercials. I don't pay attention. But there are some things that I have looked into. I haven't bought anything, but it's maybe it's a like the download the app that pays you back for gas or whatever. I downloaded it. I haven't used it yet, but like every time you get gas, if you take a picture of the receipt, which one you went, whatever, it's something crazy like that. But that shit's cool to me.
I listen to a ton of podcasts, and I gotta say, podcast advertising has had more of an influence on me than any other.
100%.
Ad casting, and some of it is because it's a lot of the same shit in podcasts.
When you're up in the upper echelon,
but some of it is like, I mean, I'm gonna do this, and you should ask them for money, right? Dude, MeUndies is the real deal. Yeah, I don't know if you guys, it is the best underwear I've ever had in my life.
You bought them?
It's changed my life, dude. I'm not joking. I'm not joking.
Because Joe Rogan talks about MeUndies.
No, I know. But like MeUndies is like I didn't think it was the real deal, and then I wasn't gonna buy into it, and then some of my friends started being like, "Have you heard about MeUndies? Like it's the real deal." And I was like, "I like my plain ass Hanes linen boxers or whatever." Then I went on there. And I saw I do, but they have these like wicking ones or whatever, and they have all the different styles. So I got them. They're fucking amazing, and I bought one pair. I went on there. I'm like, they try to sign you up where it's like, we'll send you boxers every month for this price, and I'm like, no.
What is it for one pair of MeUndies?
They're about like $15 or something, which is more expensive than a pair of underwear. So, but I was on there. It's like if you do $10 a month or something, they send you a new pair every month. But I was like, I don't like recurring payments. I'm like, I don't want that. I'm like, I'm gonna buy one pair. Bought one pair of these boxers. I wore them for like 2 days. I was like, I'm never wearing other underwear ever again. So then I went on there and I bought like a package. It was like $100. It's like, here's 7 pairs of boxers. I got them all in. I'm like, it's on. And now, like, I've kind of gone, I'm like, I need to order more MeUndies. And what's funny is I have a lot of friends, and they're all like, everybody's on it. And they have like the couples plans. Like, you could do that. Like, you get on there, they'll like send you and your girlfriend matching underwear and your favorite style. They have pajamas. But it is fucking awesome. It is worth every dime. It's amazing.
So if you go to www.meundies.com/another round, you will not get a discount.
You should now. That was a pretty rising endorsement.
Yeah, exactly. I may cut that and just send it to MeUndies.
I know. Just send them to him. Be like, here, listen to this guy.
I don't need money from you, but could I have a lifetime
free endorsement?
Can I have some undies?
Have them send you like 2 pairs. It'd be worth it.
Dude, I'm so.
And they're like, their entire marketing is podcasts and stuff. That's like how they get shit out.
Yeah, they're not even in stores. I think
no, and they're not on Amazon
D2C,
either.
right?
They're like doing no Amazon, which is how you have to do it if you don't want to sell your soul to the devil or whatever.
Right.
But like,
that's dude with the studio now. They for Slardians, they've got some stuff that where they're trying to get us to. They want us to be an affiliate with Amazon, and I'm like, fuck,
it's all downhill after there.
I'm like, you just want me to sell out. Somebody, I thought somebody was like, it's like, man, selling my soul to the devil, but it's only on that podcast that's had. This one's going to be another round is totally just my baby, like, but yes,
nice.
Once again, that's www.meundies.com/another round.
Yeah, send it to them.
I'm going to.
They give everybody else who has a podcast money, so you might as well take it.
Right. Like if they want to give me money, that'd be great. I'd love to have some.
Like accidentally stumble into an NPR podcast, and it's like the news for today is sponsored by MeUndies.
Oh man, it's funny. Like you don't like. There's I'll put it like this. So I used to only drink rum and diet. Rail rum was fine until somebody gave me, oh, you can't drink that real bullshit. Try this Bacardi. And I started drinking the Bacardi, and I was like, holy fuck. This is so much better than other rum. It's the same thing with a lot of things. When you get used to the nicer shit, like the vodka, I used to drink, rail vodka, and then I was like, they're like, oh, here, try this Tito's. Yeah, right, exactly. And then it's like, drink this Tito's. And I was like, oh, let me try this. And I was like, holy shit, this is really good. Like, and now I'd rather pay more. I went into Famous Bar. You ever been to Famous?
Yeah.
I love that place. Mark Gray, shout out to Mark Gray. You are one of my favorite people in the world, by the way. But I ordered a Greyhound, and I took a drink. I was like, oh, what the fuck? What the fuck is using this? And he was like, oh, rail. It wasn't Mark. It was one of his bartenders. Was like, oh, I can't. I'll buy another one. I cannot drink this. Like when you get used to just drinking shit, and then you have some better shit. Like you're just like, take MeUndies for an example. I'll probably put them on and be like, I can't ever switch back to any other underwear. This is what I've got to have from now on. There's something to say about quality. I was always just like, vodka's vodka. But no.
Sometimes you have to box it out. Going back to my band days, right?
Mm-hmm.
We were so broke. We made a decision to be in a rock band, but that decision included being fucking dead broke for like 4 or 5 years, right?
Right.
4 of us lived in a 2-bedroom apartment. 2 guys got a bedroom. The other 2 of us had couches in the same living room facing each other, like futons in the same living room. And we did that, but we made that decision to do it. So, like, I'm not asking anyone to,
right,
donate. We decided to do that, but we did that with beer back then because it was funny. We learned that exact same thing you were talking about. When you could get your hands on real domestic beer, craft beer, or whatever, you'd be like, "This is really good." We could never afford that shit.
Fuck.
So then, anytime anybody would be like, "Can you get you a beer?" We'd just be like, "We want a PBR." Or a Natty Light, or a Keystone, or something like that. And then they'd be like, but you can order anything you want. And I'd be like, but if I drink that, I will realize how shitty the other beer is I drink, and I don't want to do it. So if you drink Natty Light, actually, I still drink Natty Light to this day. Natty Light is a fantastic
I drink Natty
beer.
Light.
I can't do Keystone anymore. Keystone is dog shit. I can't drink Keystone beer anymore.
Man, bottle beer tasting a can.
We drink a ton. You know what we did a ton of is Miller High Life. My band loved Miller High Life.
Miller High Life has a sweet taste to it.
Miller High Life is actually a pretty decent beer. It's just like it tastes like a really good beer that was skunked for 6 hours.
Right.
Just only 6 hours. It's not completely gone. It's like right there.
It's funny.
They're the mini pony ones.
Oh, yeah.
Our band's roadie got a tattoo of the High Life girl on him. I think he really regrets that now because he's a cell and molecular biology professor. And he has a tattoo of the High Life girl, but
I love it.
It's awesome.
That's great.
True story.
That's great. That's why I'm glad I didn't get a tattoo till I was 35. So I didn't end up with something stupid. Or not even stupid, but just something. Well, no, you know what? At the end of the day, even if I got a tattoo when I was younger, I would never have covered it up unless it was just.
It's who you are, man. It's your story.
Yeah, and it always brings up a memory, and it's a talking point, whatever. Funny story, going back to like how you were like when somebody wanted to get you a beer, you're like, oh, 90 Light or PBR, I don't want to get used to the good stuff. So I was at Fortune Teller Bar over on Cherokee, and I was sitting at the bar and I was waiting on somebody or something. Something was going on. I was like, man, I want to take a shot, and this is a few years ago when I didn't want to take shots by myself. No, I can take shots by myself, no big deal. But it was like, I asked the bartender, I was like, hey man, can I buy you a shot? I want to do a shot. And I was like, you can have whatever you want, man. I don't care. And he got me a shot of Jameson, and he just
love it.
Yeah, and he grabs real vodka, pours it in a shot glass. I'm like, dude, you can have whatever the fuck you want. He's like, no, man, this is my favorite. I was like, real Barton's vodka. Barton vodka is your favorite shot? Is that what you're saying? And he was like, yeah, man, I love this shit. Poured it straight in there. Warm real vodka was his favorite fucking shot.
You and I have a mutual friend, and I'm not going to say his name because we're on a podcast, we're recording it, but you and I have a mutual friend, and he's a well-known musician in St. Louis. He has the same thing, and it's funny, he won't admit to it. He just says that's his drinking taste. But he's a professional musician, and if you ask him what he wants to buy, he does not care. He goes, I'll take a shot of real tequila. That is more insane than even the real vodka.
Yeah.
Real tequila is the most disgusting shit ever, but he has programmed his brain to just be like, this is the shot I take when people ask me and I think it helps him both ways. I think it helps him, one, he gets drunk, and second, he also can shut it off, because when the third person goes, can I buy you a shot, man? Your set was good. He goes, nah,
I'm about to, I think I've told you this before. Do you know that real tequila is tequila flavored vodka?
Yes, I do know that, which is fucking disgusting, because I'm not a vodka person at all. I've never liked vodka. I get super sick when I drink vodka. I will take mixed shots, like if I'm out with a whole bunch of people and they're like, hey, let's do,
right, vodka
Red Bull, I'll do that. But if given my choice, I don't ever drink vodka.
So, yeah, it's just like I had to, when the glass was broken for me that real tequila is just tequila flavored vodka, I was just like, what? And then after like looking into it and looking at the bottle, I was like, yeah.
Did you know this? Are you a sushi fan?
Yes.
Did you know that 90% of wasabi in the United States is horseradish flavored or with green food coloring in it?
I did not know that.
Real wasabi is really hard to come by, so there's a good chance if you live in the Midwest like we do, and you haven't had sushi on a coast or something, you've never actually really had wasabi. You've just had horseradish with green food coloring.
That's great. All right, let's get back on track. Let's get back on track. Okay, so matches. What was it again?
Playing with matches.
Playing with matches. Damn it. Sorry, I was like partying.
Running with scissors.
Playing with matches. So now you guys got to do something pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah.
you guys cut you had some EPs, and then you actually cut an album. But then, how did you end up on the Warped Tour?
So it happened two ways. There's used to be a lot of avenues to get onto the Warped Tour. Kevin Lyman, who is the owner of the Warped Tour, like he invented it, ran it, and did all that.
Is it still running?
No, it ended last year. Although they ended it, and now they're doing like reunions and small things, and it might be back in like 2 years. Who knows? But
it's like Motley Crue saying they were the last tour, and now they're doing another tour.
Yeah, exactly. But Kevin Lyman, who ran the tour, he when he started, it was all about having small bands and big bands together. And so he had this thing where you could send in an essay to be on the tour and then send your music, and they'd possibly let you on there. So the first year my band made the Warped Tour, it was on his stage, which is called the Lyman stage, which wasn't even really a stage. It was like 1 foot off the ground. It was just like a little thing. But we got to play there, and it was really cool, and we did that. And
did you do, how many stops were on it?
That was just one stop in St. Louis.
Okay.
And then the next year, there Ernie Ball had a stage on the Warped Tour, and they did.
How many stages are at? How many fucking different stages?
9.
No shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's like a ton of different stages, but Ernie Ball had this Battle of the Band stage that they did. They did a nationwide Battle of the Bands, and the top 4 bands in every region got to play there. And then the next year, the winners got to continue playing there. So we played the next year. We won the Battle of the Bands, got to be on the stage in St. Louis and play there. And then we also had the connection for Lyman. So we played a couple different, we were bouncing back and forth between stages. And then the third year, we actually won the entire national competition for Ernie Ball. And so then we got to be on the Ernie Ball stage for the entire year. So
how many stops was that?
62 or something.
Holy
like that.
shit!
Like 52 or 42. I don't know. It was a whole bunch. It's the entire fucking.
It was over 40.
Yes, it's like everything from. It starts at Memorial Day and goes right to Labor Day with almost like 2 days off a week.
No shit. And then so, in that, you had to provide your own way to each stop, though, right?
Yes, we did, and that's an interesting thing that a lot of people don't know. Almost nobody gets paid on the Warped Tour when it was still existing. I don't know for a fact about the really big bands, but I don't think it is. It was a marketing agent. That's what Kevin always wanted to do with it. Is just like get bands out there. So many people would come to it that the draw was not to get one band paid. The draw was to get everybody acknowledgement, right? So even the big bands would go out, and their record labels would front the money for them to go on the road because they'd be a headliner at Warped Tour, and then the small bands would go.
Vans was a sponsor of Warped Tour for a while, wasn't it?
Forever, yeah. It's been the band's Warped Tour for a long, long time.
Okay.
There's a lot of stuff that goes into it, but it was a really crazy grind. It was a really crazy business experiment to just see what happens when all these people go out and do this stuff. But it was
are you able to sell your merch and shit at these?
You are, yeah.
Okay.
And so that's the only way you make money, really.
Oh wow.
It's to sell your merchandise, but you get all day. Because you get there all day, and they also, another thing that's interesting, the Vans Warped Tour, there's no set list. So every day, the set list for every stage is completely different. So even if there's one band that's the biggest, like if Blink-182 is on Warped Tour, it doesn't mean they're the last band. They could technically play at 11 a.m. and it'd be over. Every morning they announce a random setup. They put up a big billboard, and you find out what time you play at 10 a.m.
That would suck for people going to it, though, right? If they're expecting, Blink-182.
Well, that's the idea, though. They want everybody to see everything, right?
That's how you get it, because they're gathering attention because you got to pay attention.
And it's a little biased. I don't know that Blink-182 played the first set, but they definitely didn't always play the last set, right? So, so if you wanted to see them, you had to be there early. You could see that. There's a possibility a really big band could play the very first set on a stage, and then you could miss them. So you want to be there when it opens and see how long it stays and goes still there.
Okay, actually, ingenious.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I do like that.
We used to make flyers, and they had a blank in them because hundreds of people line up to get into Warped Tour right when it starts. We would make flyers, and it would say, "Come see our band at," and it would have a blank. And then
Write it in.
at 9 a.m. in the morning when they announced the schedule, we'd all sit in our RV and write 1:30 p.m. at the stage, 1:30 p.m., 1:30, 1:30, and then we'd go out in the crowd and be like, please come see our band at 1:30 or whatever.
That's dope.
So it's kind of a cool thing.
What would suck is if you're playing at 1:30, but then also Blink 182 is playing at 1:30.
And that happened regularly. Yeah. People would be like, yeah, it's really cool that your band's playing then, but I came here because I'm the biggest My Chemical Romance fan, and they're playing at the exact same time. I'm like, all right, well, then give me my flyer back.
let me hand my flyer out to someone who cares.
The flyer cost me about 5 cents, and I need it back. I'm broke. I'm taking a shower in 3 days. Give it back to me.
Taking a shower in 3 days.
That's not a joke. If you think it is a joke, then you weren't there.
I think, like you said before, you wouldn't have. So, how many years did you guys travel with them?
We were on the Warped Tour for 3 years.
3 years.
3 different years.
The third year was the big one where you
we were
traveled.
on the whole thing. Yeah.
What? So you guys, when they, so it was like a deal you signed with them, or you're like, okay, awesome. We won the national one, so now we get to go on.
Yeah, we were able to be on every show because we had a stage assignment for every show. So.
Oh shit! So it was and there was no money. They didn't pay you a.
Dude, I'm not 100% positive. I shouldn't say this, but I'm pretty positive because people regularly talked about it. I'm pretty sure even the top bands at Warped Tour didn't get paid a dime to be ticket revenue.
So he just pocketed all that. I mean, you got a big payroll.
Well, and the other thing is they didn't use, like, at Warped Tour, they don't use, so like when it used to play like Riverport in St. Louis, right?
Mm-hmm.
They would use the main stage just because it's a stage, but at no point ever did the entire arena fill up with that. The stages were all mobile stages. They were all put up, and like all the stages had about the same pole, the big stages did. So it's just kind of the environment of it. But I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong. I mean, I was never in a huge band, but I don't believe those bands got paid anything either. It was like, it was worth it for your career. You go play Warped Tour. If you're already a huge band, you're stoking all those other people, you're getting them excited, and you're going to sell thousands of dollars worth of merch. If you don't want to play Warped Tour, don't do it, and you don't have that option. They don't pay bands to do that just because that's how it worked. And it wasn't being a dick. I don't know that maybe Kevin Lyman pocketed a ton of money off of it, but it was a massive.
He still had.
It
seems like it's almost like the fair coming to town. Like you got a ton of payroll that you have to pay, and you got a ton of equipment.
Well, they moved it every night, and they had professional skateboarders on half pipes, and they had a million different other. Because
they would be on MTV occasionally too.
Yeah, right? It was all over. It was a big deal.
Yeah, I never knew that, man. I knew that a lot of TV shows and shit, like when actors would come on, whatever, like up and coming actor, they wouldn't get paid for a ton of the shit they do. I never thought of that with bands, but I mean, like,
I'll say this in the inverse: the exposure was so amazing that it was actually worth tenfold in gold, right? As soon as we were on Warped Tour, I would send. There would be nightclubs, like say in St. Louis, like let's make something up. Like I'm not saying this is true, but like
Mississippi Nights.
Let's say I could never get into Mississippi Nights when it was open. Then I send them a resume and say we were on Warped Tour last year, and they would be like, "We'll book you this week." It's like they wouldn't even take my fucking phone call or listen to anything I ever said before that, right? And then, or bigger was just smaller things like. We could ask extra money for that stuff. We would go to colleges. People would be like, hey, we do college booking. Like, what's up with your band? We're like, we're on the Vans Warped Tour. We're requesting $3,000 a night. And they'd be like, oh, if you're on the Warped Tour, then yeah, absolutely. We'll pay $3,000 to play. Like, okay, cool.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah, it's giving you credit.
We got the money on the back end.
All right. I mean, it's funny that you brought up a booking agent because I just had one reach out to me today. Wanted to book people for a podcast. I'm like, you realize to do this in my house, in the basement.
Yeah, so do most of the biggest people out there.
Yeah. But they were like, no, it was a good back and forth on the DM. It was cool. So, do you think that let's get into this.
Let's do it.
The stories from the road, man. Do you want to start with the dollar bill thing, or do you want to save that for a minute?
Oh man! All right, I'll do. I'm gonna have to change names and places, and also there's certain things that I might exclude because
No,
I
that's
don't
fine.
want to be recorded saying stuff. Times have changed since 2001 and now. So
Yeah. So like anything that would incriminate anything,
yeah,
don't worry about that.
I'll
But
change names and places, or I
I mean,
just
we can
won't
get
tell you.
we can talk about some other stories and then get into that later if you want. It's up to you. Whatever you want to
No,
do.
it's fine. That's why you had me here. Let's tell some stories from the road.
No,
Let's
dude,
do it.
I love stories, man. That's why I'm glad you're here, man. Because I've been wanting to hear these stories for years, and you know, I got a lot of them from you. These hang out at the bar, but this is different. This is like you and me and recording.
We're zoned in.
We're zoned in. We're zoned in. So, how did this? Well, let's start off with explain what the dollar bill.
So, all right, we'll go ahead and into this. This is fine. So my when we were playing in a band, there was another couple bands that we became good friends with in Springfield when our band was getting bigger, and we started this thing called the Coveted Dollar. And the Coveted Dollar, the joke behind it was doing something ridiculous for just a $1 bill. So we, you know, the joke was how ridiculous of something would you do for something that doesn't really matter. And so we had done this, and then we built a whole thing of rules around it. Also, factor in this is in the generation of what was it? Like Jackass and all that other shit.
Right.
It was just like doing stupid shit, right?
Yeah.
So we would have friends that they would be like, "Hey, we're all drunk, we're partying. You should do this." Someone would be like, "No, I would never do that." And like, "I will give you the coveted dollar." So we started this coveted dollar. Anyway, it ended up being kind of a defining thing with our band and our friends' bands because it was something that we were always having fun with and doing, and it always made every party and everything just kind of a cool thing. So I'm going to make you ask me more questions to make you actually tell you what we did for it.
So, no, it's fine. So, what would be? Can you give an example?
Yeah. So,
Example of how you could get. What did the first person? Here, better question. What did the first person do to get the coveted dollar?
I believe the first person who ever got the coveted dollar ate like that, not like completely solid, but not completely liquid cat food.
Okay.
Right? You know, like the cans of cat
Yeah.
food.
Yeah.
I think people were drunk. They were hanging out.
Somebody's like, "Here is the coveted dollar."
Yeah, they were like, "Hey, you should eat some of this cat food." The guy goes, "Absolutely not." And then they were like, "What would you do it for?" And he says, "I'll give you $1. I will give you the coveted dollar if you eat this."
The
can
coveted
of
dollar
cat
never
food."
existed until right then.
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe that was the first thing. And then that guy took a spoon and ate the
whole thing?
food out of the can. I don't know how much of it he ate or whatever, and did it. And then it was on. And they were like, "You got the coveted dollar." They took the dollar. This is important. They took the dollar and then they wrote their names on it. They wrote the coveted dollar on it, and they marked the date and time that that dollar exchanged hands. Now here's where the rules come in. Now, if you own the coveted dollar, you're the only person who can decide who else can get the coveted dollar.
So you didn't have to give it up.
No, you didn't. No.
Okay.
So the only the owner, right? So if I ate the cat food and I own the coveted dollar, now I own it. So I can come up to you, Cecil, and I can say, "Cecil, if you drink an entire pint glass of vodka, I will give you the coveted dollar." You say no, fine. If you go, "Yeah, I'll do it," then that's fine. Then you would do it. After you did it, you would sign the dollar. The dollar would become yours, and now you're the boss of the coveted dollar.
That's fucking. I love it so fucking much.
Yeah, it was awesome.
So, I'm sure it feels like from the stories you've told me that the first person that got the coveted dollar for the dog food got the cat food got the easiest way to the coveted dollar.
I don't know. It comes up and down. It really depends on your opinion. That was I wouldn't eat a can of cat food. Although actually I would, based on some of the other stuff that happened for it. But I don't know. I don't know. Like, yes.
Yeah, I did. Okay. So I feel like it got to a point where everybody was one up in the last thing from before.
No, and that's what really sucks about it, because it was so much fun and it was such a cool thing. And then it started to get so out of control, because when you one up each other, and then when you do something that's super crazy for it, then the next person's like,
I had to do this nasty ass fucking thing.
I have to do something crazier than that. And then it starts getting, honestly, we ended it, my friends ended up ending it just being like, nothing good can happen from us continuing to do this. But it lasted like 4 or 5 or 5 or 6 years or something. So
what? Who has the dollar now?
It's done. We burned it.
You burned the dollar. Okay,
Yeah.
that's good. That makes me feel better about it, because I was like, somebody has that, but now that you burned it, y'all burned it as a group. I enjoy that, even though that's
my friend's bachelor party. Somebody goes, nothing good is going to come from us continuing to do this. Let's just stop it.
even though you committed a crime by burning money, but whatever.
If that's the crime we committed, then that is nothing compared to some other stuff that was done in the name of that dollar.
Do you want to? Let's go with just to give a precedent.
All right, I'll give a couple.
Give the not the worst thing, not the least worst. Give me one right in the middle that somebody did that you think is like.
No, I'll give you a couple good ones that are like in the middle that are pretty cool ones that I thought were awesome. One of the guys in my band, he slept in a dumpster overnight to get the coveted dollar, like in a construction dumpster. And we were all there, so we could like throw stuff at him and pour beers on him and stuff. Like he like laid down in the dumpster, and we did that. That's kind of
that's cool.
That's pretty degrading.
Yeah.
That's pretty. I mean, it's super degrading, but not horrible. There's a lot of getting naked stuff, like get naked and run around a party, get naked and swim across a swimming pool. All of those things.
Yeah.
One time we picked up a piece of roadkill off the side of the road, and someone held it in their lap and pet it for an hour while we all sprayed it with Lysol.
That's great. Did it smell really bad?
It was fucking horrible.
What animal was it?
It was a raccoon. Oh. It had been split from like head to toe, and we pulled over, picked it up, and put it on someone's lap, and then like drove around, and then we all yelled at him about how bad it smelled while he was getting the coveted dollar, and he had to sit there and just pet it.
I remember I don't even know if it's the worst one.
No, I mean, I know all the worst ones.
No, I know you do. I know. I'm trying to remember the ones that you told me. The person that had their mouth thrown up into
me. All right. Well, that's what I'll say about that. But now it's on recording.
You didn't have to say. I knew it was you the whole time. I remember you saying it.
I'll let it go.
How long did your reign go after you had that? Like, how long did you?
It actually wasn't that long, because that was the most like intense period of the coveted dollar, where like anybody was doing all kinds of crazy shit for it. So like I turned it over after that for pretty fast. Like people, that was like, you just got to understand with our group of friends, and it doesn't make any sense, so whatever. But with our group of friends, it become this huge thing where like everybody we knew about this, and people would come hang. I think we had friends that were hanging out just to see if the coveted dollar might exchange hands, because then someone would be like, "Everyone, pay attention! Andy has the coveted dollar. He's gonna offer it to Cecil for doing this. If Cecil does it, we'll pass hands of the coveted dollar," and people would just be like, go nuts over it.
Putting eyes on the product, man. Not necessarily the coveted dollar.
I also got the coveted dollar for taking. I took 8 birth control pills. Hey,
I know the dirtiest one.
I'm not going to throw my friends under the bus. I'm going to throw myself under the bus.
There you go.
I took 8 birth control pills, and then I later found out that like 6 of those were placebos. So I was probably fine.
I know the one of the
But
person.
I had to investigate that because I thought I might like grow boobs or like get ovaries or something if I didn't do something. I had to I did
you take them all at once and didn't take a big swig?
I did it. I
Jim Beam?
drank. I went home, and then I got home, and I was like, "Oh shit, what's gonna happen to me?" And I got on Google, and I'm like, "What happens if you take birth control pills?" And they're like, 1 in every 7 birth control pills is it's the only thing that actually has anything in it. Like, oh, thank God.
That's fucking great. What can you tell the one about the picking the thing up off the ground and eating it?
Yeah, I mean, I can do it without saying names.
Or that it
was
a
probably
person. It was a person.
Yeah, that's where it
Just a
started
person?
to go really downhill. Because that's what you honestly, while it's funny and ridiculous, it was never meant to be like criminal or ridiculous. It was always just meant to be fun and in a good time having a prank.
Yeah.
So
being a goof. Yeah.
There had always been a thing with our friends that not females didn't really get a shot at getting a coveted dollar. Some of it was because they never offered it up, right? Like sometimes part of the coveted dollar would be like if we all had like Cecil right now, if we all had it, if I had the coveted dollar, I might ask you, but you could also come up to me and go, Andy, what do I got to do to get the coveted dollar?
Right.
And then I'd be like, what can I do that Cecil wouldn't want to do?
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And then, there's like, whether it's, I and you were what at the time? How old were you? Early 20s?
No, at this point we were in our mid to late 20s, mid 20s.
Okay,
like 25.
Yeah, I mean, but you got to think the times were different, and like it's still like, man, that's what you call team building.
You know what? Is really crazy about it is it really is like it's completely ridiculous. It's obscene.
But it's
abhorrent,
super innocent.
But
I think it's super innocent. I think it's just like you get this thing, and like they can say no.
That's the thing. You know what? These podcasts, the things that you do, everyone's looking for communal between them and other people, right? Like if you listen to a podcast, you want to listen to people that have something that have something to say that's similar to you, right? The interesting thing about the coveted dollar, while it's ridiculous and stupid and gross to people and obscene, is that it brought a whole bunch of our friends together in like a weird place that like I'm going to be friends with those people for the entire rest of my life because we did that stupid fucking shit together.
Stories that you're going to have to tell.
It's no different than being in a fraternity and getting paddled or waiting for the match to burn down your fingers or
it's no different from
naked and running around the quad or any of that shit. Whatever you did.
I love the old school reference.
Yeah, whatever you did that was like that, it was the exact same thing with our friends. That's what we did.
I don't think it ever came out of a bad place. I think I love that. Like I don't have a story like that.
It started to get to a bad place, and then we were pretty good about being like, "Whoa,
guys, hold on.
I don't know.
Let's put this in perspective right now." But that's the type of shit that you do. I mean, to me, you being out with your band is like me in college when I was playing sports. When I was playing basketball, we had this group of guys that like. It wasn't ever going to be the same group again. Like I was with those guys in that time. This is okay. For instance, NFL. They you didn't get pressed no button. You just get, So like in the NFL, like they know you win a championship, you're not going to have the same team next year.
Yeah,
this is your one time with these guys. Your band was together, what, 6 years? Yeah, 6 years. And then, like you're never going to get that again. And for you to have those stories and that experience to me, is fucking dope as shit.
It was super eye-opening to me. That was crazy. So I went to Missouri State, right? Mm-hmm. Missouri State is not a big Greek school. And actually, when we were there, because I told you, I went to college thinking originally I'm going to be a frat boy. Because I went to West County. I grew up in West County, St. Louis. I'm like, I'm going to be a frat boy. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that. And I ended up being in a band. We did all this other stuff. It was awesome. And that school is very, very small Greek, right? It's just fucking West County, St. Louis people and rich people from Kansas City are the only people who go to Greek, right?
Yeah.
So our my two guitar players, my best friends on earth, Jacob and Adam, they were like, we were all so anti-Greek forever. Like, we were always like, we fucking hate fraternities. Even though we played their parties, we did everything. We're like, fraternities are bullshit. You don't buy your friends. You don't do that stuff. Their youngest brother, he went to go to school at Columbia, and he went up there, and they were all like, don't join a fucking fraternity. Like, don't be a fucking asshole or whatever.
Right.
And he was like, I won't. So he went up there, and his freshman year, halfway through freshman year, he didn't join a fraternity when everyone else does at Mizzou.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mizzou is the biggest Greek school in like the entire country. You can't have friends if you're not in Greek or whatever. And so halfway through, he goes, I think I have to join a fraternity. Like, I don't have friends. I can't meet girls. I can't go to any parties. I can't do anything.
Right.
And so then he joined the fraternity, and they gave him shit, and then he did it. And then they were talking about it, and we're like, well, what are you doing? Like, what do you have to do for Rush Week or whatever? And he's like, oh, we're doing all this stuff. We have to memorize the Greek alphabet and get it out before the match burns down to our hands. They paddle us and make us clean all this stuff. What we realize is it's all about creating situations, right?
Mm-hmm.
With us being in a band and us trying to do everything with the band, we had put ourselves in a situation we have to rely on other people. And we had created the situation we had to do that, and it created brotherhood, right? Mm-hmm. And we did that on our own because that's what we want to do. If you don't have that situation, which not everybody can do, then if you go into a Greek situation, they simulate that for you. And it makes the same thing. You're creating, at that point in your life, what you really need to do is realize that sometimes you need other people to help you, right? Mm-hmm. And whether it's Greek or whether it's basketball or whether it's being in a band, those are the things that put that together. And it kind of brought us back around to where it's like, you know what? Maybe you did kind of buy your friends, but you also created those situations, and it wouldn't have been there for you if you hadn't done that.
Right.
And so that's an important thing to think about. Yeah. And everybody has that, right?
It's one of those things, like for instance, with the hipsters, they like, oh, we're against establishment, blah, blah, blah. No, you're just being around people that have similar values as you, or not even values, but similar thought processes. In life today, man, it's creating your tribe, the people that you hang out with. It's the same thing. You may be in a fraternity, and there's gonna be people like, oh, you bought your friends, blah, blah, blah. No, you got in with these people. You enjoyed their company. You created this. You're surrounding yourself with people that have the same values or like-mindedness that you do. The band people. You had a bunch of people that were creatives around you. Basketball people, they're all people that enjoy basketball, enjoy sports, baseball, softball, blah, 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 go through the line. But it's all your tribes. And you see the same thing today with social media. You're getting on social media, you're finding a Facebook group that has the same interests as you. You're hanging out with people that have the same idealism as you do. So, it's just on a bigger scale now with social media than it was back then.
Sure.
But for people to like judge other people for, for me, like when I have a beard, so then, and I have the haircut, and they're like, oh, you're a hipster. Well, not necessarily. I just enjoy style. I do kind of enjoy style. Granted, my style is t-shirt and blue jeans, but it goes back to the thing, look good, feel good, like, my hair's cut, my beard's trimmed, I feel fucking amazing. I enjoy that. If somebody wants to say I'm a hipster, cool, whatever, man, call me a hipster, I don't care, but I just, the people you surround yourself with, like-minded individuals.
I think that's what's really important. Like, sometimes is to step back and look and say, what created this thing, right? And I'm 100% guilty of it. I was the guy sitting there going, these Greek assholes at my college are douchebags. They're buying their friends. But it's like, what it really is about is creating situations.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about creating situations where you have to rely on your friends. And how good of friends are those people and where you're going to be at with those things in the future, right?
Correct.
Now, in a fraternity, a lot of times it's simulated, right?
Yeah.
My band, it was for real. It was like, we don't have the money to put the gas in the gas tank, so who's going to step up? Right? But in a fraternity, they go, you guys are all dipshits. Which one of you is going to come through? Well, you know,
right.
It's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's building lifelong relationships. And when you're in that age, when you're in your early 20s, that's what you're looking for, is to build those relationships. And you should. This is probably the people you're going to be friends with forever.
Yeah.
You know?
And in some cases, like for me, you know, going from a small town to going to fucking South Dakota, like I would never have done that without basketball.
Sure.
And then, you know, I still talk to people that I went to that I played basketball with, but it's not like they're not, you know, at that time it was what I knew, whatever. And I, you know, coming from the farm, and, you know, I literally was in a town of 500 people to South Dakota that was 25,000 people. You know, granted, I did play junior college basketball, but it was in my hometown. But then going out there and then meeting all these people, experiencing things. And that's where I hate when people like cut themselves off. Like, oh, I don't want to do that because that's weird. You know, like your mind was where like, I don't want to be in a fraternity. They're dipshits, whatever. But those same people were saying, oh, you're a fucking band guy, you know? Like, that's the shit that I hope to help get rid of, where you just want to experience shit. You know, just experience life. And you know, for me, I'm looking at you like, man, you were 40, you did at least over 40 appearances all over the country.
Yet, but 40 appearances.
Yeah. I'm saying like just when you're on a Warp Tour, to me, I'm like, fuck, that's cool as shit. Because I'm not artistic at all. I can't. You give me a guitar, like you try to show me how to play one chord on the guitar, and I'm like, what?
I was going to teach you how to play a song. I did it one night.
Yeah, we were working on it. That's the night you threw up.
All right, come on.
That was, dude. Our nights were when we like go when we
Cecil and I go hard. When
we go hard in the paint. Like we don't get to do it all the time, but when we do, it's we go hard, and I love those nights. That's experience for me. You know, like that's the shit that I'm never forget. You know, that's what I'm putting out there. It's like experience shit. Like I'm so callous to when people go out there like, oh, I went to Buffalo Wild Wings and had 3 beers. I was tipsy, and I'm just like, and what happened? Oh no, I went home because I couldn't believe that I had 3 beers. I'm like,
experience life, go for it.
right, exactly. You know, like don't, you know, what's Joe Dirt say? Life's a garden, dig it, or whatever, something. But you know, like, were there any times when you were on the road? Because your best stories in life, some of your best stories had to be from that Warped Tour.
Absolutely, yeah.
Was there anything like? Is there any story that you want to tell that was just like, holy shit! Like I can't believe this is happening.
I think some of the coolest stuff is just, you know, the opportunity that was there that you didn't realize, you know, and even if you look back, yeah, do I have crazy, ridiculous, you know, drug stories or sex stories or whatever? Like, yeah, I saw some of that stuff. But what I would say is the coolest thing is just people coming together to be super excited about something. And that was one of the coolest things ever. Like, to come from a thing where, like, my band was a dorm joke, right? Where we were just making jokes in the dorm, to then walk out on stage in front of like 8,000 people and have everyone go bananas.
That's what I love about that story.
And then to just sit there
from
and go,
fart songs to 8,000 people.
How did we get here to there? this is insane. That's fucking awesome.
Right.
And the feeling that you get is better than fucking any drug you could ever do. I mean, you could mainline cocaine and it would not feel like what it feels like to stand on stage and have people go nuts for you while you're holding a guitar in front of 10,000 people. It's really cool. I don't know.
No, that's what I love about that story is starting with fart songs to pick up chicks to playing in, literally doing 40 on the Warped Tour for over 40 fucking shows. That to me is like, holy shit, dude. And it comes from your hard work, because you talked about in the part one that you guys started practicing every day of the week. You guys were working on your craft.
Once our band got signed, we practiced every single day that we weren't on the road.
Who did you get signed by?
We were on Rhino Records.
What were they out of?
They're like a subsidiary of MCA.
Okay.
And so we did stuff with them, and like it was just, we were on a major record label, and we're like, we owe this to people to do something.
Yeah.
And so then we were like, well, we have to make it good. And it was funny. I gotta say, we were really good about that. We always, like, we could have been like, hey, we just got off the road, we're just gonna sit at home. We'd be like, we have another show, we have to practice. Mm-hmm. All of us came from blue collar background, so we were like, we don't deserve this, so we need to practice.
Yeah, you were in the moment. And that's the shit. Like for me for me personally, my hard work in the bar industry, working 70 hours a week for somebody else, was all practice leading up to getting Bob's. Starting this fucking podcast on my fucking couch, or in my kitchen, to within a year getting signed by a label, and then that type of shit to me, like, that's fucking crazy. And I'm just like, well, we're here now. I don't know how we got here, but we're here.
Sure.
Yeah. And that's what, like, you experienced that early in life, and it reassures my thought process that anybody can do anything as long as they practice, as long as they are trying. You can say you want to do something all day. I could have been a rock star. Well, how much did you work towards being a rock star? Were you putting in 7 days a week, like working, beating on your craft, or were you just talking about it?
I think there's still a lot of aspects of luck, though. Like, you could try, like, somebody could really, really grind it out and try hard and never make it to be a rock star, right? And you could try really, really hard and do 1 million podcasts, never be successful doing.
But
podcasts.
If you're not, my caveat to that is, if you're not trying to get better, like, to me, consistency and content, obviously, but then am I just doing the same podcast all the time, or am I trying to reach out to bigger and better guests as I get better? Because I mean, if you listen to our early podcasts, they were fucking garbage, but we just kept getting better, asking bigger people to come on. Not that all of them are big, but just like getting better with us, being more comfortable being behind this mic. I had no training going to this. Like, you remember coming over and you brought the soundboard. It's actually still over there if you want to take it back with you. But you remember, like, you were the biggest fucking fan of mine. Like, hey man, you really need to do this, blah 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 blah. I'm like, I really want to do it. I really want to. Then I finally started doing it, and then you were the one that came over, and because sound, lighting, all that shit, it really was like, man, all right, cool, we're doing it. And then, people starting to listen, like actually listening, getting emails about, oh man, listen to your podcast, it was amazing, blah, 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 man, thank you so much, off of something that just started on my couch. It started as the only reason I did it, I don't know if I think I've told you the story. I'm sure I have. The only reason I started the podcast, like when Another Round originally started, it was because I got mad at 60s because they gave the Saturday night shift to in the game room. They gave it to somebody else after Jenny quit. I was pissed. I was like, they're like, well, you have good shifts already. I was like, motherfucker, those are good shifts I built, because they were shit before. They were shit shifts.
You really did build that business.
Yeah, and I was like, nah, I just wanted a shift that I didn't have to fucking stress about because I knew people were going to come in. It's a Saturday night at 1860s in the game room.
Yeah.
Like this is a $500 fucking shift. $500 fucking shift. Like I want that. And they were like, "No, you already have good shifts. Yeah, I don't think it's fair to everybody else." Like, motherfucker, what? So I was like, "All right, cool. All right, I understand it. It's not fair to everybody else. Cool. All right. Well, I'm gonna start a podcast about the bar business. That way, people can hear that I know what I'm talking about, and I can find an investor." And within a year of starting that, I was able to buy a bar because an investor heard me on a podcast and then came in, got to know him, blah, blah, blah. We worked out. Like, that's the type.
I think that's your focus, man. Like, let's do your podcast should be about the bar industry.
100%.
I know some people like I'm a fantastic guest, obviously.
But no, like
let's talk the bar industry though. Like, there's so many things that you can talk about that's in there, and so many people can relate to it. You know.
I mean, you gotta think that there's only a few different industries that you can go in that are worldwide. Like, if something came up and I had to move to fucking Canada, I could find a job within 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Because
I import drinks.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I can go up there and like I can go into almost any bar in the world and be able, no matter if they speak my language or not, I can figure it out. And I know how to pour drinks. I know what to look for. I know that industry. There's if you want to be a lawyer and you're a lawyer in Missouri, but then all of a sudden you got to move to California, you can't just go and start being a fucking lawyer in California. You got to take the bar for California. That's why I got into it, because originally I was going to just I learned I became a personal trainer. My degree is in exercise physiology. Because I can do that anywhere in the world. I could do that training.
Sure.
And I wanted to because I was going to go try to make it as an actor. Well, then, whatever shit happened. And then I was like, well, I'm going to learn how to bartend. So I started doing that because I could do that anywhere in the world. The second time I was going to move to LA and try to become an actor. And, now I have that skill. I have both skills, actually. And, if I needed to go somewhere else and start doing some shit, I could, and this whole thing, this whole life I've built here is been one of the best rides I've ever been in my life, man. Coming to Soulard, I met some of my best friends. I mean, you obviously.
It's all about the ride, man.
It's all about the ride, and it took me the longest to figure that out. It's all about the fucking ride, man. I don't give a fuck about the end product. What I care about is taking the steps towards it, but then also appreciating where I'm at. I appreciate the fact that you're my friend. I appreciate the fact that I've met some people that I'm never going to forget just by pouring them drinks and talking to them, having conversations. And now I flip the having conversations with people every day, bartending, into this, where I can have those same conversations and record them and people want to listen to them.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah.
That's
so
awesome.
Yeah, dude, I fucking love it, man. And I love where I'm at. I love, the people I've met in this industry, and I love just being present for it, not just worried about what's next.
Sure.
Yeah, man, it's has been a fucking great ride, and it's still like even when I get to what I thought at the beginning was success, I won't even realize I'm there until this ends, and then I'll look back and be like, holy shit, look at all the fucking dope shit it did. Like for instance, with you, like you've done all that dope shit in the beginning, and not even in the beginning, but in your 20s, and it's just like like when the other night, whenever you said, I'll never be as successful as so and so, I'm like, fuck that, you've been way more successful than they have. Look at, you've got to tour and do all this shit, even though it may not have been as monetarily beneficial, but you still have the fucking stories, bro. Like those stories are fucking.
The stories is all you get to keep, right?
Yeah, right. Like the money goes away, like all the other shit goes away, but you've been able to angle that into career though.
Yeah.
I mean, the shit you're doing now is cool as fuck. Yeah, we were talking earlier. It's stressful, but like if I handed you a guitar, I'd be like, hey man, what do you think of this guitar? You could break it down. You break it down to the T, what it's worth, to the penny. And for me, I'm like, oh, it looks kind of cool though. Like I'm not gonna understand that, but you could break it down because you know that shit. So that's fucking amazing, man. And
Yeah, but if I asked you the profitability of a drink, you would be able to
yeah,
be like, yeah, I
exactly.
got that.
Yeah, 100%. But you know, but you know, I leverage my knowledge, you know, and that's the same thing. You know, you could do the same thing. You know, start buying some vintage. I mean, I'm sure that market's fucking flooded, but you could still make it. Like just making some extra money for yourself by buying some guitars and flipping them. You know, or whatever. You know, instruments, whatever. You know, there's all kinds of doing your own YouTube channel on how to play the guitar, you know, that type of shit where you're just like,
Yeah.
this is how you play the guitar, blah, 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 blah. Like, to me, like, the guitar is like learning Mandarin, you know? Like, I want to know it, but it's like, oh, fuck, I'm not musically gifted, and then nobody ever played any instruments in my family. It was all sports, whatever, you know. But
What else you got for me? Hot fire. Bring me some
hot fire.
bring
Let's
some
do
action.
5-minute hot fire. All right. Most famous person you ever met?
Dave. Actually, I'll take it two ways. I've actually met Bill Clinton and President Obama.
Okay.
I met both of them, but outside of them, I would say Dave Grohl.
Oh yeah, dude's fucking amazing, man. That dude is fucking amazing. What happened to your camper that your band traveled in?
Do we really got to do this?
Did you burn it? No, you don't have to. I didn't know it was a sore subject.
I'll do it. It's a sore subject.
Oh, I didn't realize this. Oh, sorry, dude. I had no clue. Sorry.
We drove it all the time. We did all the stuff, and we took off to go to St. Louis to do a private gig and do a thing. And we blew a tie rod going over the hills in Middle Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
And then we sat there and just watched it go down. It was horrible.
Is this a tie rod? That's all?
Yeah, but that destroys the entire engine. So
no, that wasn't a tie rod. Then tie rod's for your
not tie rod. We blew a gasket.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I'll think of it here in a second.
So we sold it for a fraction of what we paid for it for.
Sorry, didn't know that was gonna be a sore subject. My bad.
It's all right.
What when it ended, when the band ended, were you upset?
I was devastated, honestly. We had a weird thing with our band. It's like we had managers and agents and everyone telling us if we moved to California, we'd be a huge, big deal. We were like, we want to do that. And then a couple of the guys in our band were like, we need to wait more time before we do that because it costs a ton of money to live in California. And then we decided to be like, we're going to do it without you. You either go or we're going.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, we're not going. We were like, fine.
Right.
So they it ended up ending the whole band anyway, but I don't know. Yeah, it really sucked. And we were like, hey, we're not. I guess it's not going to happen then. So I don't know.
Damn, man.
But you know what? I think this because our lead guitar player went and played for a major professional rock band,
mm-hmm.
with better opportunities than we had. And
he wouldn't have got there if he didn't move to California, though, right?
Well, he went out and got those opportunities anyway, but it didn't matter.
Right. I mean, but if he hadn't, he moved to California and then got picked up with
He went on the road with them.
Mm.
And then still didn't have those opportunities.
I guess, okay.
It wasn't going to happen, so it's fine.
Right. I mean, I'm not one to give up on anything, but yeah, like sometimes, like I don't know, you gotta. That's life, man. You know. The
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we're at the wrap up time, sir.
One more. What do you got for me? The pinnacle question for this podcast. What do you got?
Well, I thought we hit it on the last one, but I will give you one more question. Do you regret any of that? Any of the nights of not having any money, not knowing where the next money's coming in, of traveling like that, of doing that? Would you give it up for anything?
There might be some really small ones, like, did you regret this one little thing? But I don't regret any of that. Like, it's really crazy because that gets brought up a lot to me. It's
Right.
like, you made all these sacrifices to do all these things, and I don't regret any of it. It's like the most amazing thing ever. And I kind of feel a little jaded because people will tell you, they're like, hey, someday you're going to get married, you're going to have kids, and it'll be the greatest thing that ever happened to you. And it's like, I hope that that's true, but also, I was in a rock band that played on fucking Warped Tour.
Exactly.
That was pretty awesome.
But people are always going to tell you, like, I feel like people are always going to tell you, like, oh, the greatest thing you ever do is get married and have kids. And it's like, is it though? Is it? It's okay for it not to be, but it's like.
Cecil, have you ever walked on a stage in front of like 10,000 people and put your hands up and had everyone just scream and go absolutely bananas?
Nope.
It feels like fucking mainlining code directly to your fucking brain stem.
Right,
and you're like, you can't stop it.
Yeah, and people don't appreciate that shit. And people, like, for me,
that might be the greatest thing I ever did.
I mean, right now.
Yeah, that's true. And maybe something else will change.
And you never know that you may do it again someday. You never know. You never know what life is going to bring at you. It's what you take steps towards.
That's true.
Yeah. And for me, like, I appreciate the fuck out of that because of the fact that, like, hard work got you there. And that's some shit I will never, ever, ever experience. I mean, well, playing the guitar in front of those people, I'll put it that way, because I could never put in that type of time. I've already have enough hobbies.
You could be host of one more round, standing up there introducing fucking
right, exactly. But that's Race
Against the Machine for the last show ever, and you'd be like, "I got it, Andy. I understand what it feels like."
I'll call you on the phone while I'm doing it. I'm like, Andy, I get it. Look at my Snapchat.
8 nuts in my jeans.
But the thing is, like, I'm never gonna stop. Like, I'm not, you know, the person I'm working with on Bob's, you know, was like, oh, you need to stop podcasting. It's not gonna do anything. Blah 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 blah. Like, this is dumb. You should just be concentrating on the bar. Blah 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 blah. Well, hey man, remember when in my marketing plan where it was like I'm combining with these other podcasts and we're gonna get, you know, free advertising on it. And now when we got this deal done, I was like, hey man, just so you know, like, I'm gonna be getting Colorado Bob's is gonna be in 10,000 people's eardrums that are local in St. Louis every month. We're gonna be reaching 10,000 people for free. Thank God I didn't stop podcasting.
Nice.
Yeah. Andy,
thank you so much for having me.
Andy, thanks for coming on, dude. Dude, I think you set a record for the most Jim Beam drink on a podcast.
We can upstage that next time. I'll drink the whole bottle. Let's go.
Right, exactly. Oh man, thank you so much, man. I fucking appreciate the shit out of it. Yeah, man, this has been fun. We'll have to maybe make you a monthly thing, man. Like, just come on and we can talk shit.
Dude, I mean, anytime. Yeah, you want me to make friends every? Bring me on.
I'll bring you on. Like, nobody else coming. Andy, I need you. And yeah, I'm still pissed about Azuna. $200,000. We fuck.
Yeah, we let him go for $200,000. Like, he had a 200,000 was the mark point, whatever.
But they're like, oh, we got this
we got a draft pick though.
Yeah, but it's not. but it's not a first round pick because it used to be a first round pick. I don't think it's a first round pick. But anyway, besides the point, Andy, thank you again, sir, for coming on.
Thank you, sir. I love you guys.
I love you, man. All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening. This was another round with Cecil W. Adams. Peace.